So this is what happens when you're really annoyed in the first place and then you don't hit the right button and you spend 10 minutes talking to this and giving something heartfelt and meaningful, and then you realize you didn't hit the record button. You gotta laugh at yourself, folks. Hey there, Mitch Ross. Me, MitchRossMusic.com. That's the brand. What are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about the idea that I've brought a whole heaping chunk of negative energy into my life in the past 5 days because somebody did something that they didn't want to fess up to, and it really bothered me. It's not so much that what happened got me bothered; it's that the person didn't want to fess up to it, and it's tell me that something happened. My Behringer mixer, Behringer haters, comment away, or don't comment away, preferably, because I don't really care. I like Behringer equipment. It's been very, very good stuff for me. M Audio too. Hey, all the M Audio haters, jump in there with the Behringer guys, because I use a lot of both of their gear. My Behringer 16-channel board got smashed. Not smashed, but something hit it hard enough to knock one of the EQ knobs off and bend the post that it was on, and which causes a short in the board. Now, I'd be showing you all of that because remember last week when I said that I was going to be doing the videos in chunks through the week? Well, that's what I was doing. I let this stuff get to me. I attracted a bunch of negative energy like a big magnet. Not to be all metaphysical or anything like that, but that's just, I've just noticed that when I get negative, if it steamrolls, a lot of other things tend to go south around me. Well, guess what? I let this person's fear of admitting a mistake and lack of integrity, not being too strong when I say that, because the person's shown me that over the past while. I let it build up and get to me, and so by the weekend, lots of other things were going wrong, and it just kind of steamrolled until my computer started having massive problems with Premiere, which is the editing software that I use for my videos. And don't tell me to use anything else, because I'm going to just tell you politely, yeah, that's fine, that's great, that's all fantastic. I've used it all else. I've done this professionally for a very long time, doing video editing and that, since 2004. Actually, we've been putting video online for clients and stuff, doing music videos and promos and product videos and all kinds of stuff, speeches and speakers and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that all went south. All that software went south, and so I haven't been able to put together everything that I needed to put together. It's all shot. Can't even get it all off of my phone at the moment because some of it's shot on my phone. So I'll put together a separate video with that stuff to show really what the problem is. But the post got bent, the board shorted out, and the board is going to be going back to Behringer for 2 to 3 months to be repaired at a cost, because we're well past warranty plus damage and all that crap, right? And be sent back to me. It's not going to cost much in the grand scheme of things. It'll cost a few $100s, I'm sure, but it's still cheaper than replacing the board. And I really like this board. It's a very warm sounding board to record through. I like knobs for the EQing section. I don't like sliders and having it figure it all out on the screen. That doesn't work for me. Because when I started off, it was knobs and boards and sliders it was tactile. Music was tactile. You put your fingers on it. You touched and you listened. You didn't stare at a screen and go like this and this and this and this and this and this. Because you know what's happening there really is like your brain energy, all your mental energy is focused on the visual end of music. Well, but music is not visual. It's oral. So, anyways, we'll talk about that more some other time, I'm sure. But at any rate, so all of these things just happen and 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 happen. Today, Adobe, I was able to get the issues resolved with Adobe, and they're great customer service. I love dealing with those folks. They're always fantastic with me. They can't always solve every single problem every time, but damn, do they try hard. And everybody is around me is trying hard to help me get this resolved because I'm just right at the point of this past weekend. I was supposed to do some video stuff, and the rest of it was like filling in solos on some instrumental stuff that I've written, and I've worked out the solos for them, and I was going to record those, and nada. So today, as of about 1 o'clock this afternoon, I've just been like a little bomb went off inside me. I just feel drained, and being sick on top of all that stuff is just making all of that stuff worse, right? So at any rate, I'm trying to think positively about this stuff. Everything happens for a reason. Nah, I don't buy that. Um, but maybe it does. Who knows? Anyways, I am going to tell you a story so that way we leave this sort of on a positive note. And before I tell you the story, I gotta just remind you, I do these videos to share my experiences with other people as I go through this process of recording and writing and getting stuff out there at currently 50 years old. Old man, eh? Old men aren't supposed to do this stuff. This is a game for young kids, Mitch. Get the fuck out of here. You know, you're just some old fat guy. Nobody wants to look at you. Nobody wants to hear you. Bullshit. I want to do this. I'm doing this as much for other people as I'm doing this for myself. So, I don't really care if my beard's white or I'm too old or I don't fit into somebody else's demographic. I'm not trying to sign with Sony. I could care less. So, anyways, the reason why I do these videos is to let people know you're going to have problems, you're going to struggle, you're going to have issues, you're going to have similar issues to me, and I'm showing people that trying to help motivate people to keep going. Just keep going. Don't do this for anybody else. Do this for you. Do this because you want to do this. Whatever this is for you. Because it may not always be musicians who are watching this or listening to this, right? May not be old guys, maybe young guys, maybe gals, guys and gals. Could be somebody's pet dog. At any rate. But so I'm doing this for other people to show, to be, so you have an honest look, because everybody always gets someplace with things, and nobody ever wants to remember the bad stuff. They just want to talk about, oh man, this is when it was fantastic, it was all bubbly, So anyways, this is also the only way I have of these videos on Mondays, specifically for the Monday video, is the only way I have of being accountable to myself. Because I'm my own boss of the business end of things, the technical end of things. I'm the guy who's in charge of all of that. But I'm also the client. I'm completely the client. I don't have to be accountable to anybody else. So I use these videos as a way of having to be accountable to things, to myself for things. So that's why I'm doing this, because I could skip this week. Just emotionally, I could feel like I could skip this, especially since today, right? It wasn't an outward thing, it was completely an inward thing. I don't blow up in an external way. It's very much an internal thing. So, trying to motivate people, okay. Trying to let people know they're going to struggle, and but to keep going, absolutely. trying to just share an experience with people, absolutely. Trying to keep myself accountable for what I'm doing for myself. That's the biggest chunk. At least on a day like today. So, anyways, here's my bit of a positive story. I don't know how true this is. I wasn't there. I wasn't the guy this happened to. You'd have to go and ask him. But I remember reading with Paul McCartney that at one point in time, um, he was about to go off and record a Wings album. It's the third album that they did. And he was under a tremendous amount of pressure because the first two albums didn't necessarily financially do too well. They didn't chart real well. He was getting a huge amount of bad press and a lot of people following him around to tell him what he couldn't do, and that he was washed up at, what would he have been in 1973? 31? Washed up at 31. He used to be a Beatle, blah, blah, blah. His best days are behind him, blah, blah, blah. Sound familiar, folks? You know, the haters are everywhere, and they've been around for a long friggin' time. So anyway, at any rate, um, he did not want to record this album in London because he needed to get away from the record company. He needed to get away from all the business people. He needed to get away from even the fans and the people outside who, were, what are you doing? Just needed to get away from everything and go record this elsewhere. And the studio that was available to him, that was the most distant away and was still reasonable to access, was in, and I might not say this properly, but I believe it was Lagos, Lagos, Nigeria. And the day, now, this is what I read a long time ago, so my memory might have distorted the story somewhat, or the story may not have been told accurately in the first place. I don't know, but this is how I'm remembering the story, and this is how I'm choosing to remember the story right now on this day in this period of my life. Wings went through a lot of transitions as a band. There were a hell of a lot of musicians in Wings. For a variety of reasons. But early on, mostly it was because people were quitting because it wasn't going anywhere. And I guess a lot of people figured playing with Paul McCartney, ex-Beatle Paul McCartney, that everything was going to be perfect and lovely and everybody was going to be jamming and making lots of money and all that stuff, which wasn't true at first. So the day before they're supposed to go, if I remember correctly, it was the drummer who called up and said, yeah, I'm not going. I'm not leaving the country to go someplace and record an album and be gone for X amount of time, and not going to happen. And McCartney's tried to talk him out of it, and I can just sort of picture that. No, it'd be great, we'll figure it out, kind of thing. And not really. That's a really bad McCartney impression. I'm sorry, Paul, because I have a hell of a lot more respect for you than that. But anyways. The drummer, nope, not going. Then the next day, at the airport, they found out that the lead guitar player wasn't going. Then again, couldn't be deterred. Not happening. Not going. That's it. So I remember reading that McCartney just felt completely devastated because he had great material, or what he thought was really great material, and without the drummer and without the lead guitar player, now how the hell was he going to deal with things? And then he started thinking, well, got on the plane, and I can just picture this. I mean, this would have been a hell of a flight. I mean, this is, this must, 1973, this must have been like at least a 10, 12-hour flight. I don't know if but stops in between, there would have had to have been stops in between, but at least, 10, 12 hours on a plane. Going from being completely devastated to getting there saying, well, we can work it out. He'd played drums on some of his previous stuff. On McCartney 1, he played drums, and I think there was another solo-ish album in there that he did, that he played drums on, and he played drums on some Beatles stuff even on the White Album. And at least his own demos and stuff like that as well. So, and he certainly played lead guitar on a bunch of Beatles tunes like Taxman and what the hell? there's a pretty good list of them. There's like 4 or 5 really famous Beatles songs that is Paul McCartney playing the lead guitar solo on. And at any rate, he got down there thinking like, well, but we'll figure it out, right? I mean, I can play lead guitar, I can play drums, and he still had Denny Lane, and he still had Linda, and that was a pretty powerful team of people to have in your corner. And I remember him saying that he didn't necessarily get to record everything that the way he wanted to record it, or the way he had originally envisioned it coming together. But in the long run, it was band on the run, and he had to minimize things. He had to pull some stuff back. He had to work within the limitations that they had. But damn, what an album! I mean, I read recently that's still his biggest selling album. Uh, and there's not a bad track on there from start to finish. Don't get the like if you get the remastered, forget about the bonus tracks that they threw in there, because some of those bonus tracks were better off left, you know, elsewhere. But the original 10, 11, 12 songs, whatever it is on the original album, from first note to last note, damn, that's a solid piece of work. I mean, really, really solid piece of work. And it's all working within your limitations. It's all working with what you had available to you. Um, the studio they were in wasn't great. They had to come back and finish. The mastering had to be done back in London, and the final mixing and some overdubs. Once they got there, they had some overdubs that they had to do too. But the bulk of it was all done in this really substandard studio, especially by those days. And I've seen inside studios from that time period, and if you're saying substandard, man, it's got to really be substandard by today's standards. You know what I mean? But at any rate, he got it done, and it's Band on the Run, and it's like one of the best albums ever. So, you know, I keep that story. That's one of those stories that I keep in the back of my mind for times like this, because it sort of motivates me. Because I keep thinking to myself, well, if Paul McCartney can get through this shit and do something, you know, friggin' magnificent album, actually, something that's just completely a game changer, I can at least do something fairly decent. The trick is you just can't quit. You just got to keep going. And my wife was just saying to me a few minutes ago that uh, you know everything's going to be okay, and because I am really feeling frustrated because there's a lot of other stuff going on too, and I just said, I'm not just going to lay back and take it easy. I'm just going to keep running at the wall. I'm just going to keep throwing myself at a wall, because eventually I'm either going to break through the wall or the wall's going to break me. And one way or another, something's going to happen, right? So throw yourself against the wall, folks. Oh, it hurts like hell. Yeah, it hurts. But pick yourself up and just keep throwing yourself against that wall. Eventually, that wall's going to give. I've been here before. I'll get through this. You will too. Anyways, that's it. I'm trying to stay positive, and gonna go probably figure out if I can write a dirty knock knock joke. Um, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my website. You can find me on. Please subscribe. The videos aren't usually like this. They're getting better and better. The I will be posting some more stuff this week because Premiere's just been working for the past hour or two. So I just really got this together. I've got just enough time to get this up and done before midnight to make sure I stay accountable to me. And thank you very much for all your support. Thanks for all the comments and stuff like that I've been getting, and the private messages from people as well. People saying, these videos are kind of helping them a bit, and people telling me, giving me words of encouragement and stuff like that as well. So it's all deeply appreciated. And Patreon, I got to keep mentioning Patreon. For $1 a month, you get to hear things that the rest of the world probably is never going to hear. Not because it's garbage or too crappy to do anything with, but there's other limitations and things like that, restrictions that people put on you, put on themselves, that force their way onto you as well. So you can find some interesting things there. And yeah, that's about it for today. That's it for now. There are going to be some more videos this week though, because some good things did get done in between the crappy stuff. I just can't show it to you today. I will show it to you through the different parts of the channel throughout the week though. So thank you very much. See you next week. Bye.